All right, everyone, welcome. It's the week number 8 Westside Fantasy Premier Update Show. Let's get right to it. So, World Series starts tomorrow night. Boston against St. Louis. Perfect matchup in my mind. Grew up in the shadows of Busch Stadium, and that was the first major league ballpark I ever went to. And then spent several formative years, my 20s basically, in the city of Boston. So, have an affinity for the Red Sox. Going to be pulling for the Red Sox all the way. Go Sox. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It should be a great series. Two best teams in baseball. Here we go. Let's take a look at the week that was. Bastard Sons of Pele continue their dominant reign of terror. Now off to a 7-0 start as Jim outpaces Guy Petty 134 to 107. Bastard. The one who knocks continues in his hot streak. It's 6-1. Phil knocks off Rough the Passer 148.9 to 117.6. OG Ollie Rogers improved to 2-5 with a 138.6 win over 138.6 to 98.1 over to Biz, who sits at 2-5. Carlos Danger improves to 3-4 with a 140 to 93 win over Ghetto Superstar. Ferocious Fennec improves to 5-2, 105 to a 97 win over Brother Is. And it came down to Monday night for beatdown and smell this, and just not enough. I had two players going with Ruben Randall and who was that other guy? Ruben Randall and Greg Jennings. How could I forget him? Well, based on his performance, but man, and John had Victor Cruz, but John ends up with the win, 120 to 114. But man, those Vikings stink. You know, I'm fine with it because of my whole Packer relationship and those purple shirts. I just hate them. But god dang, man. Greg Jennings, an otherwise very productive wide receiver, just, looked ineffective thanks to Josh Freeman, who got off to a horrible start. All right, let's talk about bye weeks. We've got 6 teams on bye this week. 6. Chicago, Tennessee, Indianapolis, San Diego, Baltimore, and Houston. Let's take a look at our standings. In the Division del Norte, Bastard Sons of Pele leading the herd here with 7-0, and just really pulling away from the pack here, because the next closest team is Carlos Danger at 3-4, and those are the only two teams, Carlos Danger and Bastard Sons of Pele, that would make the playoffs out of the Division del Norte. Just shows that all the strength is not in that division this year. Looking at Division del Sur. Phil Flores, the one who knocks, seems to have been leading this all throughout. He's riding a 2-game winning streak now, sitting at 6-1. Ferocious Fennec at 5-2. Brother Is at 5. Brother Is at 3-4, sitting number 5 in the playoff hunt. And Rough the Passer coming in at 3-4 in the number 6 spot for the playoffs. Let's take a look at next week and the matchups. All right, Smell This and Ghetto Superstar get to go head-to-head again, and it's about time Smell This gets off the schneid. It's been a 2-game losing streak here, or more losses than I care to imagine. But Miles is by far and away the leader right now, or at least the projected leader right now, with 119 to 81 win. I've got a lot of guys on bye. I've got empty spots. Danny Woodhead sitting down. I got Mike Clemens. I got to put Drew Brees back in there, so things will balance out. But I really don't like my matchups. Ruben Randall against Philadelphia, Greg Jennings against Green Bay, Richard Mendenhall against Atlanta. On Miles' side, Andy Dalton goes against New York Giants, Dwayne Bowe against Cleveland, Antonio Brown against Oakland, and Fred Jackson against New Orleans, Tony Gonzalez against Arizona. I got to give the win to Miles. Just logic will logic dictates. Let's talk about the. Let's talk about the next game, which is going to be the Ferocious Fennec versus Ollie Rogers. So this is Uncle Tommy McCarthy against Nephew Jake McCarthy. Tommy's got the edge right now, 117 to 104. For Tom, RG3 is against Denver. Boykin is against Minnesota, and he's got a bunch of names in here I just don't understand or just don't recognize. But Roy Helu Jr., that's a nice pickup right there. Roy goes off for 3 touchdowns last week. So good pickup there for Tommy. And I hope I'm not sure lightning will strike twice, but we shall see. For Jake, Alex Smith against Cleveland, Cecil Shorts against San Francisco, Giovanni Bernard against New York Jets, and Adrian Peterson against Green Bay. I'm going to go with Tom on this one. He just seems to have a little bit better matchups, and I'm not liking, Adrian Peterson against Green Bay. He might be lucky to walk after that. Let's go to Carlos Danger versus Auto Smack. These are 2, 3, and 4 teams. Carlos Danger is a 124 to 108 favorite right now over the Auto Smack. Mike's got Russell Wilson against St. Louis, Denarius Thomas against Washington, LaShawn McCoy against New York Giants, Reggie Bush against Dallas, and Vernon Davis against Jacksonville. For Guy, Tony Romo against Detroit. It's a pretty decent matchup, I think. Golden Tate against St. Louis. CJ Spiller, who is back, I believe, or he's listed as probable, but I think he's going to be playing, is against New Orleans. Andy Lacy against Minnesota. That said, I got to go with Mike Kwan for the win. I just don't think Guy's going to cover up those points. Taking a look at the Biz versus the One Who Knocks. This is a 2 and 5 team from Matt versus Phil's 6 and 1 squad. Aaron Rodgers leads it off for Phil. He goes against Minnesota. Eric Decker against Washington. Marcus Colston against Buffalo. And Le'Veon Bell against Oakland. I need to get him in my other league. For the Biz, Cam Newton against Tampa Bay. Des Bryant against Detroit. Deshaun Jackson against New York Giants. And Darren McFadden against Pittsburgh. It's 137 to 107 right now in favor of the One Who Knocks, but I'm going to start voting against these favorites, especially these ones that have these ridiculous records like 6 and 1 and 7 and 0. You people, jeez, unreal. Bastard Sons of Pele versus the Beatdown. It's 156 to 124 on paper in favor of Bastard Sons of Pele. Peyton Manning goes against Washington. Jordy Nelson against Minnesota. Marshawn Lynch against St. Louis. Frank Gore against Jacksonville. For Jim. For Johnny, it's Matt Ryan against Arizona. Calvin Johnson against Dallas. A.J. Green against New York Giants. And Darren Sproles against Buffalo. We're just going to pick against Jim. That's what we're going to do. All power against Jim. Got to knock off. We're not going to see a new Miami Dolphins. We're just not. We're not going to have somebody, a 1972 Dolphins. We're not going to have somebody go through the league undefeated and win this whole doggone thing. And in our game of the week, it's Rough the Passer versus Brother is 2, 3, and 4 teams. It's 114 to 107 in favor of Rough the Passer. Rob has Matt Stafford against Dallas, Hakeem Nicks against Philadelphia, Larry Fitzgerald against Atlanta, and John Stelling against Arizona. Peyton Hillis, that's a good pickup there, Rob. Peyton Hillis, who just signed earlier this week with the New York Football Giants, and now is the number one guy as Brandon Jacobs and others are nursing wounds. So nice pickup there for Rob. For Brother is Tom Brady against Miami, Wes Welker against Washington, Mike Wallace against New England, and Jamal Charles against Cleveland. Those are pretty good matchups for Mike. I think I'm going to give Mike the win on this one. And that's it for our week. Now let's really quick take a look at our league pick'em and see where things net out. And keep in mind, that's an extra $50 for the person who gets 60 picks, a minimum of 60 picks, and then wins the whole doggone thing. So right now, Mike Quandis goes 5-1. Mike is really cleaning up at this. Mike Kwan goes 5-1, 4-2 for Tommy Mack and Rob Feinstein. Perfect 6-0 for Miles. Perfect 6-0 for Miles. Matt Weibo goes 5-1, and I go 1-4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We only had 6 guys play. Remember, we got to have a minimum of 7 guys play. Right now, Mike Kwan leads the league here, 68% win percentage. He's 28-13 on the season. Rob Feinstein, 659, is in second place. He's 27-14. So not only one pick separating those two teams. And then sitting in third is Tommy Mack with 25-16. All right, so that's it. Let's go over those bye weeks one more time. We got 6 of them: Chicago, Tennessee, Indy, San Diego, Baltimore, and Houston. Go Boston. Enjoy the World Series. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.